Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. We claim to be a recovery-based podcast, but sometimes I don't think any of us are sure what we're doing. My name is Sean and I am your host. I'm joined by my good friends and fellow trudgers. Please remember to listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Videos will be posted each week so you can watch episodes on YouTube and Facebook, but as always, please be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe. And what do we do to that like button, Corey? We smash it, Corey. One of these days, you're going to get it. We smash that like button. We're brought to you by Stella Mix Podcast Management and our wonderful producer and editor, Miss Janine Stella. You're going to get it one day, Corey. I promise.
I don't smash.
You missed your cue again.
I think you do.
Disappointed wife. You're gonna have a disappointed wife then.
You do have two kids. Gentlemen, good evening. Happy recording day. We're recording this a day after the Super Bowl, and I know that a lot, dozens, hundreds, thousands of you are trying to listen in right now on our Super Bowl and halftime takes. We promise we will get there. We're going to do that on the back half of the show, but we're going to save plenty of time to do so. Let's go around the horn. Danny P, what's up? How are you?
We're good, man. We're good. We had a great weekend. We went out to Connecticut, and me and my son went to Madison Square Garden for the UConn game. And a cool little part of that is me and my son been to Madison Square Garden a bunch of times. And we get off the train in Grand Central, and I start pulling up Google Maps, to get to the garden and all that stuff. My son looks at me and he goes, "Don't worry about your phone, Dad. We could go down 10 blocks and then we take a left on 8th Avenue and then it's right up there on 34th." And it was like the coolest thing in the world, man. It was like the coolest thing in the world to watch him. Like he just takes it all in every single time we go. And the same thing coming back. He's like, "We just go 42nd and Vanderbilt. We go to the train and we don't have to worry about Google Maps." And that was pretty cool. But yeah, awesome experience, man, at the Garden, UConn versus St. John's. We didn't get the W, but it doesn't matter, man. I mean, these experiences that I get to have with my son nowadays, it's next level. It really is. It's the greatest thing in the world. And then Super Bowl Sunday, we had a little family party and we hung out and played some basketball with the kids and stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Everyone's doing good. Maya had a softball clinic, and yeah, that's about it, man. But it was a great weekend. It was a super awesome weekend sharing those memories with my son.
Don't you go ahead and leave out that little dabble of unspirituality from this evening.
What
happened?
All
of our listeners.
What
happened when you returned your rental car tonight, Daniel?
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. Free rental car. All right. I pull in and I go to return the car. And on my app, for whatever reason, the rental delete it. Like usually I check it right before I drop it off. And it says like the total and stuff, make sure that everything's correct and all that jazz, what time I'm supposed to bring it back and all that. And I pull in and the guy scans the ticket for the car and nothing comes up. And so he's in the car and he's like, your reservation isn't coming up. I said, "Yeah, I know, man. It deleted off my app." I was like, it was like 200 and some bucks or whatever. The money came out of my card, but then it came back like the day after. And then, so he wrote all the numbers down on the piece of paper and he said, "Go to customer service and they'll help you out." So I go to the customer service window and I say, "Hey, the car's not coming up for the reservation and all that jazz. I don't really know what's happening. I rent cars every single month for the last like 7 years. I was like, I've never seen this happen." And the guy was going on the computer and he was trying to pull it up and he couldn't pull anything up. And he looked at me, he said, "Dude," he's like, "honestly," I don't know what to do." He's like, "Just leave." He's like, "I don't really know what to say. Just leave." All right. So I left. And then I was like, I'm just going to keep the money on the card for now and see what happens. But yeah, so that was a nice little win right there. I'm a big fan of that if it checks out. But if it doesn't check out, we'll see. More to report soon, sooner or later.
I mean, I'll charge your card if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. It's got to go somewhere, right?
I get those digits.
Yeah, it's already counted for.
You have so many adventures with rental cars.
It's wild, dude. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the forte of traveling every single month. There's bound to be some craziness.
You got your ups and your downs, dude. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good.
I mean, at least last time you got free drugs, so.
Yeah,
true.
Dude, that UConn St. John's game was awesome. I watched the entire thing, start to finish.
phenomenal. I mean, the physicality, man, the pace of it. I mean, everything was just great about it. The environment was awesome. It was 90-10 St. John's UConn. I mean, the place was going nuts. And if you're just a sports fan, like it's not about your team, man. It really is just the environment is next level. Me and my son had an absolute blast, and we sat next to these awesome St. John's fans. Everyone's screaming and yelling, but you know what I mean? It's all in the fun of the sport, and it's really just, I mean, it almost moves me to tears every time, man. I mean, it's really being able to share those memories with my son and my dad used to always do with me too, and passing that lineage down it's next level. You know what I mean? It really is. It's so amazing.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, I listen. You know me. I know Danny. You agree. Like they're on a game like that, it can rival and is right up there with the most like highest stakes of any other sports that we have. Really and truly, that is the emotion. Same thing like we talked about college football, right? Like a lot of those guys are never going pro. They're going to get out of college and they're going to go be realtors or investment, or accountants and insurance salesmen or God knows what else. There's so much emotion and passion in those games,
Yeah, it's next level, man.
It's awesome.
I mean, yeah, it really was. So it's just, you can't.
G.A. Phillips, what's up, buddy?
Oh man, I should be coming to you guys live from Monday Night Raw, which is in right down the road tonight. But I showed up wearing just my title belt and some war paint, and apparently that's a no-go. So they didn't like it. Miley Cyrus can swing around naked on a wrecking ball all the live long day, but I show up and it's obscene.
Terrible booking.
Horrible booking. I would have gone in there and rocked somebody in their jaw. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I digress. I am here with you, lovely gentlemen. Had a good weekend. We were narrowing down the search for wedding venues. So I think we got a top 3 picked, and we're going to revisit some stuff and make a decision. So that'll be coming shortly in the future. And
I need this thing planned now.
Dude, we're working on it. We're working on it, brother.
God.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into this. It's crazy. And like anything, dude.
Oh yeah,
this
we know.
is like so much more like the options. The amount of options for everything are just, dude, I'm a simple man. I like simple things. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's
you know what'll help with that, Greg?
What's that?
When you go to the vendor and say, "This is my budget," and they say, "There's the door." That limits your options.
Right.
Try that one.
Yeah. Everything.
Good stuff.
Costs,
well,
man,
we look forward to that day, Greg. That'll be a lot of fun for all of us to gather at that shindig.
Indeed.
Corey said he might even go get his online pastoral degree so that he can marry you two.
No, we already got a guy for that. Shout out Kyle Fiscus.
Oh, Father Fiscus.
I guess Kyle did that so he could like park in certain parking spots or something. I don't know.
I don't blame him.
You better not
tell him to watch out for parking blocks.
You better not have him officiate your wedding, Greg.
I thought it was gonna be knockoff Jesus.
Boys, like with a lot of things, wedding planning and all that, it is not my decision, and I'm good with that. So
that's good. Which means Lauren definitely will not have Kyle Fiscus officiating your wedding.
That is correct.
Okay, good. All right. Corey, what's up, my dude?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah. How's the new job, bro?
Dude, it was weird the first day. Like, I mean, obviously, I guess, but like being in an office for the first time in 2 years, like I mentioned last week, it was kind of wild. It felt not myself, but it was a good week. And I had a good meeting today with the owner and stuff, and all is well.
Did you put their stapler in a Jello mold?
Not yet, but there is a fresh stapler on my desk. It might happen.
What is it? A swing line? You got a swing line on that bad boy or what?
No. This one's just an Amazon Basics. I know. I'm like, what are we, fucking poor? Okay?
Right.
Like, come on. It's not even full sized.
Got to go swing line, man. You'll never
Yeah.
find a smoother staple.
No, absolutely. That's shit's heavy duty. It's a good staple. I also need a camera crew to follow me around so I can look awkwardly at it at times and
Yes.
have like
Yes.
interviews in the other room and stuff. But whatever, we're working on that. Also, fellas, I have to mention shout out to our boy um, Tyler that got me out of the house and recording a little bit of music again. We had a good Saturday morning and laid some
Nice.
tracks, and it's coming together well. And the good thing is he may be way more manic than I am about music and stuff. And it's probably a blessing and a curse, but it's definitely a blessing for the way it comes out. So it
I
pieces
heard the
together real
song
well.
today, bro. It's
Did
awesome.
you really?
Yes,
You
it's
like
awesome.
that?
I was with him earlier. He played it for me. It's very good.
Yeah, I'm writing a little bit more for the end, but it's really good.
And he's definitely way more neurotic than you are when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm
But it was
excited.
very good.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Also, honorable mention and sad news or whatever, but like RIP to Brad Arnold from Three Doors Down. He lost his
Mm.
battle with cancer, and that's really sad if you were into that kind of rock in the 2000s. I mean, that was you guys were like 20 back then, but whatever. So, yeah, it sucked, but
I was only 17. Those guys are older than me.
good.
Yeah, we know about Three Doors Down. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Definitely.
that
That's it
sucks,
for me.
man. What was he like?
Yeah.
47.
47.
He's young, huh? Yeah. R.I.P.
Good stuff.
RIP.
All right, guys. Let's we promised the listeners some Super Bowl and some halftime stuff. This is the third, technically 2 years that we've been doing a podcast, but the third time we have given our expert opinion on Super Bowl and halftime stuff. We started with the first episode 2 years ago. We did it last year, and now we'll do it this year. So, kind of a cool milestone. But we'll save that for the back end. Let's get right into it. So, we're entering a different phase of this recovery program that we're talking about tonight. We've a lot of the stuff over the last few weeks has been similar to an extent, but tonight we're gonna like kind of jump into, we've talked about resentments and harms and fears and all the crappy things we did to people and the shitty people that we were in our addiction and our alcoholism, and we've identified a lot of that stuff. We've ascertained in a rough way what the problem is, which is, our selfishness and self-centeredness. We're going to really start to dive into, and we're probably going to break this into at least 2 different episodes, but really start diving into making amends to others and how we can repair the damage done in the past, or at least attempt to repair the damage done in the past. And tonight's going to mostly focus on I just saw the title of that, Corey. Thank you. Corey just went into our Google Doc and changed the title. We're going to really focus on like getting ready and preparing ourselves and really having the proper and correct information of what we're making amends for, what we are trying to repair, like what kind of damage we're trying to repair. So let's go. We'll kick it to Greg as we normally do first. Greg, like, getting into this part of the recovery process, were there people or situations that you were just like, no way, I'm never approaching those people, I'm never going to talk to them again, I'm never telling them what I did wrong, whether it's because you were too shameful, you think they didn't know, or that like you didn't think you needed to? If that makes sense, that question?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would preface that by saying that early on in this program and everything like that, especially when we were talking about, developing a relationship with a higher power, turning my life over, turning my will, my thoughts, my actions over to the care of God as I understood him. Like I was confused. It was all brand new territory to me. So it was impressed upon me early on that if I couldn't get the the real feelings a lot of time from just reading out loud or reciting a certain prayer, that I just try and have a conversation with whatever it was that I was talking to at the time, and an honest conversation. One of those conversations went on one really just shitty night. You know, I was having a bad night, and it went to the extent of, if you help me figure out a way to beat this alcoholism and addiction, if you can help me overcome the mental rat race going on my head, I'm willing to do whatever, right? And so for that, like, I have to keep that. I can't say that, like we were talking about last week, with foxhole prayers and, God help me out of this situation and I'll be a better person, only for me to turn around a week or two later and just go back to the same old POS that I have been, right? So the willingness has to stay there for me. And I had to remember, like, that, and I always fall back on that conversation, even all these years later. Like, I got to be willing to step up when the opportunities present themselves. So that list, the hidden list, or somebody that I felt didn't deserve it, early on, maybe I felt some anger towards some people, for sure. I can remember my dad being one of them, but I knew that deep down, I still owed him an amends, even though I hadn't run through his life the way I had some other people, but I owed him more of an emotional amends, if you will, right? Not, it's not like I didn't owe him any money or anything like that, but we had a rough relationship. And a lot of that was on him, but there was some stuff on my side of the street. And so, that's what it was about. It was about recognizing that and trying to clean that up. And I'm glad that, I won't say that we ever did get to fully mend our relationship while he was still alive, but I got to kind of say what I needed to say, right? And it was not well received at first. So, there wasn't a happy ending and sunshine and rainbows on that one, but it was still important to do so. The only person I've ever felt where it was like I did not owe that person an amends, but it was a huge part of, my inventory process, a huge part of kind of shaping a lot of the things about my life. Certainly the fearful parts of my life was the person that who abused me and my sister when we were kids. I felt more so that, like, I owed myself an amends for some of that stuff, and I think we'll get into that later, because it kind of shapes one of your other questions that you have for us. But that was one person where it was like, yeah, I held on to a lot of hate and anger and resentment for that person for a very, very long time. I'd be lying to you all and to everybody else if I sat here and said I don't still, in moments and times, but I've learned how to live with that, and more importantly, let that go where it needs to be let go of. But yeah, that asshole's never getting an apology from me. That's for sure. So,
All right. Corey, what about you? There's people on your, quote, hidden list that you felt didn't deserve an amends, or that you just were simply not willing to do?
What the hell's a hidden list?
I think they just mean like stuff that was, that remember we talk about, like, the now, later, and never list when it comes to this. Probably like the never list, you know what I mean? Or maybe so, or maybe something that you held back and never put on the list in general.
Um, yeah, not so much. I think if I think when you're blessed with, like, the desperation that you need to get sober, for the most part, hopefully you will be and stay willing enough to go attack mainly all the amends. aside from like what Greg just shared, I think was possibly, I mean, it's really the only exception I've ever like come across, you know what I mean? Well, that's not entirely true. Uh, I don't feel like we need to go make amends for robbing drug dealers in Camden, New Jersey. Probably don't go there. Um,
We
if
don't
you
make
need to,
amends to the underground, right?
yeah, if you need to throw an extra 10 spot in the basket at church or whatever you have to do to make yourself feel better, great. But they're not missing it. It's fine. But no, other than that, I don't know. Like at first I didn't really have any like nevers or anything like that. I developed some as I waited. So not nevers, but like I kicked some. I mean, I'm still kicking one off from my very first list, and I was actually just recently talking to Gabby about going and doing it, and I'm just dreading the absolute shit out of it. And it's not even that like if this person told me to F off, like it really wouldn't hurt that much, to be honest. Like if it went bad, I'd be like, all right. But I'm dreading it a little bit. But I'm not gonna share what it is. But yeah.
I have one. I had one that I didn't put on my initial list, and it was something that I thought about for I think months. It might only been days or weeks, but I feel like it was months. And I finally did talk to my mentor about it, and you know, it was one of those that was left. It was never directly made, but I'll say that I saw that person many, 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 many times over the years I've been sober, and we were good. Like there were roundabout conversations had. It was something that truly could have, I think, caused more harm to bring it up straightforward. But I had one that was what I would consider it hidden, something that I was so ashamed of and so, just taboo that I was afraid to bring it up. I was afraid to bring it up. Danny, what about you?
I mean, I like the hidden list thing. You know what I mean? Because I didn't really have like a hidden list, but like what Greg was saying too, dude. It kind of like all like as you guys talk, like things always hit me. You know, kind of all couples together. It's like a hidden list, but like Greg was saying with his situation and stuff, that like doing harm to yourself or others. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole part of the deal too. So it's like could be something you're hiding, but like you just said too, Sean. Like the thing is like you might have done more harm than good. You know, and that's like my mentor when going through these things. And this is like one of my favorite things that I like to say is we will not regret the past, nor do we shut the door on it. You know, that's one of the things like that's you can couple into so much stuff, you know, that these amends and these things that you have to do because you have to be willing and able, you know. So to me, like the hidden list is kind of like, you know, maybe it's something you're holding back and stuff, but if we're going to couple it in with being willing and able to do so, you know, that's why you talk to your mentor is like, you're willing and able, but this is kind of like your hidden list. Are you doing harm to yourself? Are you doing harm to someone else? And coupling that all together. And if I had a bunch that were talking with my mentor that I didn't seek out, but they came placed to me. Right. You know, God does for
God
you.
God put it in place. Yeah,
exactly. God does for you. We cannot do for yourself. You know, I had a bunch of those where it was like, I'm gonna, you know, fly to this state and go do this and do all that jazz and all this stuff, you know, and it's like it just came over time, you know. But my like most powerful one was holding on the resentment and the grudge with my father from my childhood, you know, and realizing like such a monumental moment to realize my part in that, you know, because I never ever thought I had a part in it, you know, but coming into the room of recovery and actually, you know, realizing and understanding and reading our literature and be like, I understand and I'm sorry, you know, because I was holding the weight of he was the reason, not me. You know what I mean? I held that weight for so long, and letting that go. I mean, that was like that was like just so monumental with that. But yeah, I mean, that like I said, I feel like the hidden list is kind of like a trick thing to me, you know, because like the way it was like explained, like with me, it was like yeah, you got the hidden stuff that you're not going to say and stuff like that, but you have to say it to be open, like to get to that level. You might not make the amends and you might not make it right, you know, but you have to say it open to get guidance on what you should do and pray about it to get path that you should travel with it. That's just my feeling on it.
Dan, you bring up a good point, the whole like if it would injure them kind of thing, because we have all seen many people, and we've probably all been guilty of it to some extent. We use that like, well, I don't want to do that one. That might hurt them. That might injure them. We can use that as a cop out too, right? People totally use it as a cop out.
100%.
And
Yep.
being a mentor myself, very, very, very rarely have I advised someone like, hey, you shouldn't do that because it could injure them or others. I have. Don't get me wrong. I have. Corey and I actually we have quite a history of that stuff, don't we, Corey? But I'm getting the finger for those who will never watch this. But
you couldn't see it on those things.
Yeah.
Damn it, dude. Oh, really? You owe me an amends now?
but that's an important part. Like
you're hidden.
There's not there's not much. There really aren't many situations. I think maybe there's a unique one here and there where somebody out there has a handful of them, but for most of us, there are not many situations where we shouldn't do it because it could injure them or others. There are some here and there, and that's where a good mentor and good guidance comes in, big time. And then, like Dan, to your point, I think there's a big difference too in saying another cop out, like, well, I don't need to go seek these out, or I don't really need to put any effort into this because if God wants me to make them, he'll put me in that position. And like, obviously God will not do for us what we can do for ourselves. But I do think all of us have specific amends that either we've tried and haven't been able to find the person or get a hold of them, or whatever the circumstance is, it's just not the right time. And we get legitimately good guidance from a mentor of like, hey, not right now, wait. But then like, I don't know, insert any length of time, you run into that person at Publix, or it's just God just puts it in front of you, right? So there's a big difference between that and then trying to use it as like a cop out, like, well, I'm not going to put any effort into this, and if God wants me to make them, I'll make them. I think those are very two important distinctions. So
I have a question, Sean.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for you guys here. Along, like, on that note, like injure them or others, and people like you're saying, like we like to sometimes lump in ourselves, right? Like, oh well, if it hurts me, then I can't do this or whatever. We obviously know that that's not often the case. Like you're getting that and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell Greg's story necessarily, but I do want to reference generally that like Greg had a pretty major amends early on, I believe, that was of the criminal variety, I believe, and probably could have faced a serious consequence, right? But in his case, he went and made that amends directly, and it worked out where he remained a free man and handled it otherwise. But what I'm getting at is, at what point do you tell somebody like, hey, okay, so you say you stole a sum of money from your old job or whatever. They don't know about it, or they didn't bring it up, whatever the case may be, but you know you did it and it's time to go make that amends. But in the meantime, let's say you started a family. Let's say you now live with your significant other, all that stuff. At what point do you guys think it's like, why don't we do it? Maybe a job you worked at's a bad example, but let's say Home Depot. Let's say you stole a couple drills from Home Depot or whatever. Like, you going to tell that person to go make a direct amends to Home Depot, or are you going to say, hey, you need to find a charity that Home Depot works with and donate anonymously? What's your opinion?
Think Home Depot is arresting you for stealing 2 drills, but
say it's 20 drills, Sean.
I get the point of your, but here's the thing. So it's a great question, Corey, by the way, but what have we all been taught? You don't show up to make amends for stealing cookies without some damn cookies, right? So if you stole 20 drills, you better show back up when if you're going to make that amends, you better show up with the drills or with the money. First and foremost, blanket statement. Our literature does talk about, right? Like we cannot, I'll paraphrase, I can't think of off the top of my head, but we cannot like negatively affect the family or take food off the table because we're making amends or something like that. So it's a good question. I'm curious to hear what the boys think.
I'm saying, and I'll let you guys say it, but like if like Greg, I'm using you, Greg. I'm sorry, but like Greg is in a much different spot today in life than he was when he went and made that amends.
Well, and there's probably
You know?
like good reason that he made that amends then as opposed to now.
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
for sure. I'm just saying if the cards were stacked differently. Go ahead. If you guys have anything.
Greg or
Yeah.
Dan, whoever wants to take it, go.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
All right. Yeah. I mean, to me, like your drill analogy, you go back to the store and you tell them that you stole 20 drills, and what do I have to do to make it right? I mean, to me, that's because I mean, we all know, this is speaking as a criminal, the charge is not going to be something that you're going to jail for. Right. You're going to get a summons. You're going to go to court. It's going to be 6-3 larceny. It's not a big deal. So that's like a no brainer for me.
Yeah.
Or if you show up with the money or you know what I mean? They're probably just like figure out something to work with you.
Yeah. Home Depot will work with you. Lowe's probably won't though. Lowe's you'll probably go for a ride. but yeah, to me, I mean, because I can relate that to my situation, man. When I first got sober and child support and the $20,000 that I owed my ex, you know what I mean? I could just duck and run, you know what I mean? But I ended up flying to Connecticut and going to court without a lawyer and all that stuff and trying to make that right. And there was the possibility of me getting arrested because I owe all this money. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? And like that's like talking with my mentor. That's like, you just got to go and figure it out, man. You know what I mean? And I ended up getting on a payment plan and all these things work out and stuff like that. I feel like it's so, I mean, this is to me, it's not like, we're kind of speaking in a hearsay matter, and it's not really a hearsay matter when it comes to this recovery stuff, because we have mentors and we have these advisors and we have these people in place that can help guide us. So it's like to me, it's like, like this is why we have things in place to help us make these decisions and guide us through these decisions where we don't have to make them on our own. And this is why we have a higher power in our life, to where it's like, we're saying that also, this might be a cop out. It might not be a cop out, but that's like, it's also between you and God and you and your mentor and all these, you know what I mean? Like every situation, it's so different in every situation.
Hold on, time out. A what kind of matter?
What did I say?
Hearsay?
Hearsay.
Is that what he said? I heard hearsay.
Oh,
okay.
Hairspray?
I swear that's what I heard. All right.
Hairspray.
Corey, you did something like that. You had criminal stuff too. You sat in jail.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I sat in the holding cell for 4 hours, but that was different. Like, so yes, Gabby depended on my income like I depended on hers, but that was hanging over my head too. Like there was going to be no actual freedom in life without it. I'm talking about like maybe a criminal,
that's somebody,
or maybe
that
a crime that wasn't known. Maybe,
you kind of already touched on it right there. You and Gabby talked about it. You had a plan. You made sure it was okay with her, which obviously, like, we know she would say yes, but like, I think that's important too. If Greg had to go do what he had to do with Lauren, and a family and stuff like that, like, I think it's important you talk to your significant other or anyone who might be affected by this and say, hey, this is what daddy has to go do, or this is what, I have to go, like, yes, this is what I have to go do to make this right. Like, this is important. This could, however you have to have that conversation, like any length for sobriety. I think that's a big piece of it too. And not just like going and being like, oh, by the way, I got to go to jail and turn myself in. Like, have that conversation, try to put safeguards in place. Unless it's something really, really egregious and really, really like high penalty of money or just super like bad stuff, most companies and organizations, if you go to them in that helpful and forgiving spirit with some kind of recompensation to start, if not all of it, most places will work with you. I feel like I know that that's not the end all be all, and God forbid somebody's going to go try it now listening to this podcast and get arrested. Sorry, but most places will work with you.
Greg, you got any thoughts since you were referenced 6 times?
Yeah, I would like to say first and foremost, thank you for making me sound very brave, but that certainly was not the case. And
he was just scared.
Sean called you daddy, so whatever.
Ginger daddy.
When I came up here for the first time, it was because my grandmother had like 3 or 4 days left to live, and it was just by happenstance. I was not, there were people like that I had set out, like, these are the amends I'm going to make while I'm home. Like, and they were to some of my closest family members. And I just so happened to find an old set of keys to that job while I was cleaning out some of my old stuff in my mom's, at my mom's place. And I remember I called Sean and I'm like, I don't know, I don't remember the exact specifics of the conversation entirely, but it was like, I don't know what I should do here, but this feels like a God moment. It feels like a sign, and I better just go do it. And I was terrified, absolutely terrified. And it worked out the way that it did. I didn't have money to give for recompensation, but I was honest and I was upfront. And the dude just, the general manager of the place at the time, just straight up told me, he's like, when I said, what can I do to make this right? And he goes, don't ever show up here again. But it seems like it seems like you're living a good life, and that you are wanting to help other people. And so keep going and doing it. And I had to take that for what it was. I mean, I was obviously very relieved. You could definitely tell that I had put that dude through the ringer, and I owned up to that and manned up to that. And, hey, listen, I made your job and therefore your personal life so much harder and more stressful than it needed to be because of my actions and what I was doing. So yeah, but that was a really scary one, man. And we are talking like, if they had me dead to rights on everything, like, yeah, prison time, for that, potentially. I don't know. Or it could be, like Sean said, like maybe they would be willing to work with me. I don't know that, for that matter. But
True.
I will say that every bit of dirt I've ever done in my life, every lie that I've told, I either can't sleep over it because it eats me up inside in some way, shape, or form, or I get high over it.
Right.
So it's like,
and I'm not really sure which one's worse, honestly. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I would almost venture to say, yeah, when you can't sleep, man, when you can't think, work, eat, breathe, live life, and you're completely stone cold sober and you got that weight hanging on you, that's rough, dude. So like, with that question, Corey, I would say like it has to be, I got to go set this shit right, and I think those are defining moments as men and women that we have when we do have everything to lose and we still go and do the right thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I just would like to point out that if you get high on crack, you probably won't sleep much anyway. So
true.
Go on, Sean.
I was just going to say our literature is very clear about reminding us that we will go to any length for victory over alcohol. In this specific part of our literature too, it talks about how we must not shrink, we must go through with it, but I do think if you have a family, if you have those responsibilities, you need to try to set those up in the best possible place before potentially taking one of these steps. So one of the most powerful amends process I've been through wasn't even my own. I was a part of it. Corey, a member of our home group, who I'll keep nameless for those sake, he did steal a bunch of equipment, machinery from a job. We're talking like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, to the point where it was a felony. And I don't know the stages, larceny, felon, but it was a felony. And he was looking at, and they pressed charges, and he was looking at like possibly 5 years in prison is what they were saying. I always kind of knew it wouldn't be that much, but he didn't. He was convinced, like, 'cause what he was getting told, state attorney, blah, 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 blah. And he had this date that he had to turn himself in by. And like, I'll never forget, like a few weeks before the actual date, he asked me and another member of our group, he goes, I want to get this over with. I just want to turn myself in and start this process. I'm done living like this. He was sober, living in a halfway house, but like had his girlfriend's address on everything. Like technically they could have picked him up at any point in time. And he was like, yo, I'm not waiting this out. Even his lawyer was telling him, wait it out, like whatever. And he had me and this other member take him to the jail one night. So we watched him walk in and turn himself in. And he ended up being in there for roughly 36 or so hours. And, got out and then went through the whole process. And sure enough, by the end of it, he was well over a year sober. He had done all the right things. He had, like paid a bunch of stuff back. Like, he really was trying to do the right thing and living a spiritual way of life. And they ended up giving him just a couple years probation, and it was just a very powerful experience to watch him, like just turn himself in, you know what I mean? So how do we distinguish, Dan, we'll go to you, between harm and hurt, right? The difference of, did we actually damage someone's life, or did we just simply maybe bruise their ego a little bit, piss them off a little bit? Where's the line there for us?
Yeah, I mean, to me personally, like, it's like, like psychological harm. You know what I mean? Like you would say, hurt someone's feelings. But like, you know what I mean? The lying, like, to my mom. You know what I mean? Like the stuff like that, and then actually physically tangible, financially, someone's property or anything like that. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the differentiation to me. But in the end, it's all the same. You know what I mean? Because there's still hurts and there's still things that you have to make right. So it's
doesn't matter how big or small, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's all the same because it's. Greg just said it so perfectly, man. You won't sleep at night, and it's like, doesn't matter which category it's in. But to me, it's just like a more of like a physical, tangible thing, versus like bruising someone's ego or really hurting their feelings or being a jerk. You know what I mean? In any way, shape, or form, to where I wrong them in that way. To me,
right. Corey, what about you?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I have people on my list, Sean, that you would just tell me like, "Hey, is it worth a conversation?" And I'm like, "Dude, I really don't know if I owe this person anything, but I wrote them down because I was afraid to not be thorough." Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, the ones that are like obvious, that were obviously harmed by my wrongdoings, it's blatantly obvious. You know what I mean? Some people I wrote down, and like I just had like an argument with or something like that. Or maybe like our relationship was like a little tumultuous, but not nothing crazy. But like, I don't know. I, I I'll say this. I wrote down. I was just talking about this with Gabby the other day. I wrote down somebody on my amends list that I felt at one point that I may have owed an amends, solely because I took her to Camden, New Jersey as just like a ride along partner. I was like, I just, didn't want to be alone. And I took her straight into the hood and probably scared the shit out of her a little bit. And that was it. That was really all I could think of. But I was like, man, that was kind of selfish of me to like put her in. It's not necessarily a pleasant area, you know what I mean? I don't think she was like in danger necessarily, but it wasn't the safest area.
Yeah, you would have protected her, right?
No, I mean, I'd like to say that, but I'd probably run and hide my shit first. You know what I mean? At least, but I wrote her down. But like, after some time, I'm like, there's no way she even remembers that. Like, I think that's just me being a little too ridiculous.
Well, I think that's a slippery slope, and I don't necessarily mean you necessarily, but like,
Yeah.
to assume that someone doesn't remember, she might, dude. She might have been scared shitless out of her mind, and you also maybe weren't like completely under the influence at that moment. You probably were high on something on some level, or you're coming off of something. There's a chance that you don't remember fully even what happened. And I'm not saying like this person was attacked or anything, but
No.
there
Yeah.
might have
No.
been a quick moment. So that's a dangerous place to be for people that are in this process of like assuming that we did or didn't. Here's what I
And
always fall back on.
that's where you would say, at least you said to me, is it worth a conversation? And
So
then the ball's in their court, kind of.
That's what I would fall back on too, is
Yeah.
if it's a situation and like maybe initially I'm not sure, I talk about it with a mentor, obviously, whatever. But if I continue to think about it, if it recurs in my mind, I need to have a conversation. That's been like my rule of thumb. If I, because, and how many times has something happened, not even on the original like go around of this, but how many times have I offended, to your point, offended someone years of into sobriety, you know? Um, Dan, not too long ago, I offended your first mentor by saying something in a group of people. Corey remembers. I said something that I don't think was wrong, but I said it in a way that was condescending, sarcastic, rude, and I did it in front of other people, therefore embarrassing him. And I walked away from that conversation like, absolutely not. Don't know. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know an amends. No way. He's wrong, et cetera, et cetera. And it took me like a conversation with a guy that I was mentoring and another day and a half to be like, damn it, I do owe this person an amends. I need to correct this because I kept thinking about it. So that's kind of where I net out is like, if I continue to think about it, then I need to have a conversation.
Good point.
Greg, what about you?
Well, I think Dan put it perfectly is like where, regardless of the physical, the mental, the emotional, all that, obviously the more egregious harms are very easy to see and they're right there at the surface and we address those and take care of them. But, I realize too that, a lot of times with good heart and good intentions in mind, I'm a jokester and we, like who knows if I'm like offending somebody, just like it's a bunch of us boys, like you were just describing, Sean. We're all boys. We're all men. We're tough. We can handle it and we can dish it out. And we're sitting there and I might say something that really cuts somebody to their core and I don't even realize it because I have nothing but the intentions of, hey, we're just joking around. We're just having some fun, but it really cuts deep, so I have to be ready to make these no matter what. And we realize, right. Number one, we're as free as we want to be in this whole deal. Number one. And number two, this whole process feels really good when we finally get it done. It's scary in the moment. It's sometimes it's it really sucks having those conversations, but after on the other side of it, whether it was, hey, I really appreciate that, I love you and thank you for doing that or whatever, or hey, respectfully, I never want to see you or speak to you again.
Kick rocks. Yeah.
Regardless, like we are better people on the other side of this thing than we were before it. And to me, like I always fall back on, I made an amends to a couple people that I used to work with right before I got sober, and it was in a 5-star restaurant here. It was we were serving a lot of famous people at times. It was a very top-notch place, and I was not a very top-notch individual. And I made some amends to these guys, and it was nothing more than just like, hey, you deserved a better version of me. You deserved a better leader. You deserved a better man than I was or could be at the time, right? And that was it, and of course, all those guys, were still supportive. Like, hey, man, we're just glad to see you sober. We're just glad to see you like not on the verge of death day in and day out. And we're glad that you're doing better for yourself. One of those dudes hit me up 3-4 years after the fact, and he was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I remember that conversation, and like the leadership part of that was the reason that like I was able to kind of turn some stuff in my life around. And now he's an executive chef at a very prestigious restaurant right here. So it's like that to me is so cool because it's like we never know where our actions are going to end up, where the waterfall is going to lead, so yeah,
the positive ripple effects of something like that.
100%.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we'll have more of this to come. There's a lot more to chew off on this topic and introduce some different questions and stuff we didn't even get. I don't know what producer Janine is
transitioning,
but
transitioning.
Oh, got it. Yes. Thank you. We are transitioning. That's assuming I was already a man, Janine. But we're going to talk Super Bowl. We're going to talk halftime show. We're going to kick it to G.A. Phillips for one of his classic rants. These guys are out of control. Sorry for people that don't know what we're laughing at, but Greg, the floor is yours, my friend, and then we'll all go around and have some thoughts and comments on both the Super Bowl and the halftime show.
First off, hats off to not Andy Dalton, to my fellow Ginger, Sam Darnold. First QB out of a stacked QB draft class to get it done. Good for him. I'll end with that. That's all the flowers I'm going to give out for Super Bowl 60 because, man, what a snooze fest. And I know defense wins championships. I will say this, like some of the defensive plays, New England was like
they were unbelievable.
Their defense was phenomenal. Seattle's defense was even more phenomenal. But man, like I was just, can somebody break up? We're playing with the offensive player of the year, and he's just a non-factor.
And the runner-up for MVP.
Yes, dude. So it's like,
which was a little bit of smoke, but
their offense looked pathetic. Their offensive line looked pathetic. It was just a snooze fest, which whatever. Sometimes that happens. But what you can look forward to is all of the entertainment value from the Super Bowl, right? That's half of the deal, right? Especially when you're dealing with a field goal special teams fest throughout, and that was not there. Let's start with the commercials first. Where are the movie trailers? Where are they? Okay. We've got first off, the Super Bowl was always a time to showcase the big summer movies that are coming out, the big popcorn movies. We've got 2 huge Marvel movies coming out this year. We got a new Spider-Man, and at the end of the year, we got the brand new Avengers that's going to bring back Robert Downey Jr. as the bad guy.
Epic. Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. is playing Dr. Doom. Okay. Now we could fill a whole 2 episodes with all of the backstory of that. We will not. But all I gotta say is the first year in
Greg and I might off camera
straight years. 16 years Marvel has not put out a trailer for one of their films during the Super Bowl. That's crazy. And furthermore, what do we get? Oh, there's Christopher Nolan's got the Odyssey coming out. The Odyssey, the oldest story in the world, right? And it's Christopher Nolan movie. It's coming out this summer. That's not there. What do we got? We got like Super Mario and like a 30-second Mandalorian teaser. That was it. It was so again, whoever's responsible for this garbage, bring back the movie trailers. Give me something to look forward to. And furthermore, they need to step up their game. All I saw was commercials about AI, crypto, DraftKings, sports betting, and like the commercial quality was just terrible. I mean, I might be a little partial and biased. My absolute favorite one was the Greg commercial, the Mick Ultra commercial. I will say the Duncan one last year was better. The Duncan one last year was better, but this one was all right. You can't have an appearance from Ted Danson and not pop in your living room a little bit. So, the halftime show. First off, let me just preface this by saying I know this country's in a weird, crazy, strange place these days. You can absolutely not like something. It is our right, and more importantly, one of the best things about America. You can not like something and it be whatever. So I will just preface this by saying to all of my beautiful, wonderful people of color out there, I am not a racist. Okay.
That's just like what a racist would say.
Yeah, that's
maybe that is
racist
just what a racist would say. All right. I don't know. It's not me. I just didn't like it, dude. And it wasn't the fact that it was 100% in Spanish or almost. It wasn't the fact that there were 2 dudes grinding on each other that my 8-year-old stepson had to see, which that's I mean, but whatever. I mean, Janet Jackson's titty made an appearance before, so I can't say too much, but iconic. But here's the thing: is all the bullshit aside, all the political BS, all the, this, that, and the other. First off, I'm not stupid enough to not understand that Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. So those people that are screaming for this dude to go back to his own country, he is technically an American, folks. All that aside, it just wasn't like. Does he sound like this normally? Like, is this what the music sounds like? Because there's no rhythm. You're talking about some of Latino people, some of the most rhythmic people on the planet, and the song's got no fucking rhythm. And furthermore, he just sounds like he's just talking into the mic. There's no singing. The biggest pop I heard from that crowd of however many thousand people were there was when Ricky Martin came on. And I was like, oh God, we're gonna get Livin' La Vida Loca. I was excited. And then we didn't get it. Biggest letdown.
That's wild.
That would have been awesome.
Wild.
Yeah. I was excited, man. Yeah.
Dude, and look, hats off to the guy. He had a great message on the teleprompter in the back. The football said something about America, like God bless America. What was on the football? He said God bless America. Does anybody know what was written on the football?
I don't remember.
Was that the whole love is stronger than
America? Well, love was stronger than hate was up on the
which is true.
The big screen.
I subscribe
100%. 100%. I don't disagree with that, and I think that certainly that's a great message for everything that's going on in our country right now. However, it just was boring to me. It was boring, and you know what it made me really realize is this generation doesn't have a Prince, a Michael Jackson, a Rolling Stones.
Oh, we have Taylor.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
We're not rehashing this conversation, Greg.
Give me something, dude. Give me something I can bop my head to and enjoy. And you know what? For all those people, our former co-host being one of them, that dissed Kendrick last year, that dissed Eminem the year before that, give me that any day of the week, 10 times out of 10. Give me J-Lo and Shakira. You know what I'm saying?
I love that one.
Give me Bruno Mars. Give me something. I'll tell you what. I did not like. I didn't like the Weeknd's show, the Weeknd's halftime show. I didn't like it at all. Even though I think the Weeknd's got some catchy tunes and shit, I really didn't like it. Give me that 10 times out of 10 because I just felt bored, and that's my big takeaway from it. I was just bored.
All right, let's go to Danny next.
Yeah, agreed, man. It's just choppy. It wasn't music. You know what I mean? That's the same. Like Ricky Martin, dude. I was like, oh, here we go, baby. Let's do this. Yeah. And then nothing. Yeah, but no, it's just choppy. It has nothing to do with what it is or anything like that. Like we could bop to Ricky Martin all day. You know what I mean? Because it has vibe and stuff like that. It was just so choppy, man. And yeah, I mean, same thing, dude. The commercials and all that stuff, but just the game in general, dude. I would have rather sat by the water and watched the walrus be for 4 hours than watch that game. I mean, it was
say walrus pee.
No, B.
Oh, B. Just B. Okay.
As in just B.
Which he probably would pee during that time you're watching. Yeah,
and that would be entertaining than field goals. More entertaining than field goals. But yeah, no, I just thought and that was like the thing about the game, man, is that defense, awesome, but it was not a defensive game. Ravens Steelers where people were getting popped all over the joint and there's hard hits and it's. There was none of that. It was 3-and-out punt, 3-and-out punt, 3-and-out punt, big pass, field goal. You know what I mean? It wasn't. Christian Gonzalez is a freaking stud, absolute stud. Oh my God, what those plays? They would have lost by 40, 50 points if it wasn't for him. But those plays were phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, it was just there was just no action, man. It was just like it was so hard to watch. And then the halftime show and then everything. But shout out to the Seahawks, man. I mean, they really suffocating defense. That May had no time. When he had time, it didn't matter. He wasn't making the throws. That coach, man, give him a lot of props. You know what I mean? Give him a lot of a second-year coach. I mean, that's super cool. Just have a full buy-in of a team.
Seattle Seahawks are the first team to not commit a turnover in the postseason ever.
Yeah, bananas. And dude, and what's crazy about that is that's literally what the Patriots were trying to do, but they were doing it by being safe. The Seahawks weren't. You know what I mean? They were throwing the ball down the field and doing stuff. They scored 30-plus points without a turnover. That's insane. Yeah. Like, that's crazy.
Corey, give me your thoughts.
So I didn't watch a whole lot. I tuned in here and there, and the most I watched was I tuned into the beginning of the fourth quarter, right as they were saying, and the first touchdown of Super Bowl 60 was just, and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. And yeah, I tuned back out, and I didn't watch the halftime show. I didn't. I was putting my kids to sleep and all that stuff. So, but I will say I had my fucking fill of all the negativity surrounding it on both sides of the aisle. It's driving me fucking nuts, and um, I'm basically gonna boycott all opinions. I was happier when I didn't pay attention to politics and the captain's on the bridge, God's in charge, not the president, not anybody else. And that's about it. Also, I will say that like I don't really give a fuck that he raps in Spanish or whatever. Um, this country went absolutely fucking berserk in about 2012 when Gangnam Style came out, and I didn't understand a motherfucking word about that, and it was great. It was on my iPad, on my iPod, and everything, dude. So I don't give a shit. Yeah, that's about it, dude. Everybody just calm the fuck down, please. Just calm down. It's all right.
I think
It'll be all right.
our president definitely needs to just keep his mouth shut on stuff like that. Like, there's no need for you to weigh in. Like,
You should tell him that.
Yeah.
Because he's not listening to anybody else.
I plan to next time I see him on the golf course.
Yeah.
I think we're all just sick of everything being politicized. Enough.
Yeah, please.
We just want entertainment, man. I mean, enough.
Right.
That's not the place.
So I have a couple what I think are somewhat intelligent thoughts on this. And I actually, in preparation for this episode, I reached out to probably to the two most trusted Hispanic people I know, truly. Like that, like I respect them. I've known them for a long time. They both come from completely different walks of life. I promised both of them I'd keep them anonymous. I don't even know if any of you guys know either of them. Maybe one of you knows one of them, but I asked them to give me their honest opinions and thoughts on this. And I'll say a couple things real quick. I didn't like the halftime show, not because of anything like that, but mainly because I couldn't understand it. And I want to be able to understand, like, words mean something to me. And I know that people could understand it that speak Spanish fine, but I actually have an interesting take on that too. I will say this. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. There was something like the production of it, whether you like it or not, it's kind of like the movie Napoleon Dynamite for me. Stupid movie. Like, really and truly dumb movie. I'm now stupider for having watched that movie, but I couldn't take my eyes off the movie. I just couldn't. I kind of felt the same way about the halftime show. I didn't know where they were going to go. I didn't quite get it all. I think somebody got married during the show. I'm not really sure. That would be dope if they did.
They did.
I get, like, do you think they really got married though, or is it just
No, they did.
They legit
there was a whole
got married. Yeah.
There was
that's kind of cool, guys. That's kind of like awesome. But I love the whole love is stronger than hate. Like, I agree with that. Like doesn't matter what part of the aisle you're on. I agree with all that. If you'll allow me, I got a couple quick thoughts from these two people, and both of these takes are kind of vastly different, which I kind of appreciated. And I'm not here to judge their thoughts or their takes. I just wanted to give opinions from a non-white person, because let's face it, guys, we're four white dudes. I mean, Greg's, 3/4 Asian probably somewhere, but like, we're all white, and we'll never be able, just like our parents will never fully be able to understand alcoholism and drug addictions the way we do. We will never truly be able to understand what it might have meant to someone of different culture and different heritage. So my one friend says, disclaimer, he was born here, but his parents are from South America. He said, at the end of the day, Bad Bunny is a performer, and it was a great performance. Couldn't take my eyes off the TV. I don't know if it was a great performance, but I couldn't take my eyes off the TV. He was surprised. I was surprised that he was chosen at all, not because he's from another country. And he referenced Shakira and Jennifer Lopez not too long ago, all that stuff. But because none of his songs are in English. So he was like surprised they picked him because of that. I like his music, but he had trouble understanding even some of the dialect because it was a very specific dialect that he was speaking in, and he's pretty fluent in Spanish. I liked the small details, like the little kids sleeping on the chairs during the wedding ceremony, and he put very common to see little kids sleeping at big parties, even with all the loud music. So like there were some things there that I didn't pick up on that. It was nice that he brought Ricky Martin out. Ricky Martin was huge for Latin music in the early 2000s. And then he said, "We are so old," meaning him and I, which means all of us too. I didn't like his comments at the Grammys, or excuse me, I don't feel like his comments at the Grammys brought too much more attention. There was a ton of attention before, to the extent that they produced a separate halftime show, meaning the Turning Point USA stuff, which all was formulated even before the Grammys. He said, at the end of the day, it's about money and bringing more fans to watch the NFL.
Yeah.
A lot of those are good points. You know what I mean? A lot of those are good points. And now, if you allow me, and this one's a little more, you'll see. Bad Bunny's performance was a reminder. This is my other friend, of a reminder of what it looks like when someone reaches the biggest stage without watering themselves down, not bending to fit someone else's idea of what's, quote, acceptable. For generations, we've been told oh, by the way, this guy is Puerto Rican, the one I'm talking about now. We've been told that connection means making ourselves more accessible, more comfortable, more understandable to others. But inclusion is not the same as assimilation. Sometimes real connection happens when people are invited into our world, not when we reshape it to meet every expectation. Bad Bunny is a part of a long line of people who prove that authenticity isn't a limitation, it's a strategy. It's how doors open that were never designed with everyone in mind. What I learned from this performance is that I don't have to shrink to succeed in life, at work, or in my community. Success doesn't come from becoming smaller. It comes from honoring where you come from and letting that lead the way. Authenticity matters in all aspects. This was not only a win for all the people of Puerto Rico, this was a win for all Latinos and Hispanics around the globe. Say what you want, like, you know what I mean? Like that, those are two people's opinions. And that second person, extremely successful person. Not that that really matters, but like, I think it's worth noting, like a very, very well-off person. And I thought those were interesting. I don't know. Any quick final thoughts on any of that?
Yeah.
A lot.
Lastly, Bad Bunny did phenomenal in the WWE. So just throwing that out there.
It was.
I mean, I got love for. He was
fantastic in the Happy Gilmore movie, and I've seen him on snippets of SNL, and he's really good in that too.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I don't.
I give the guys props. It like I said, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Maybe if I spoke Spanish and I understood some of it,
maybe.
But it just even like, to me, it was just the actual rhythm and everything like that didn't feel like it was there.
Yeah,
and I do think that his comments at the Grammys made it worse. I know my one friend said he doesn't think there was already eyeballs on it, which yes, there were. I do think that made it worse, personally.
I do. I know we got to end. I do want to say this. That they talked about, and somebody talked about in those things that you read about being like represented now, or maybe we're just talking about that, about and how that's probably important to people, and to an extent that we don't understand. Let me just say this. I would pop so fucking hard if like we elected a recovered heroin addict to office or whatever. I would fucking go and like that they found a spiritual way of life and blah blah blah, whatever. I'd be like, oh my God, this is fucking awesome. Like finally, like somebody like me can reach those heights. So that's something to think about.
Yeah. Dan, I give you the final thought if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I think that like the whole problem is how deep everything is going with this. I don't think it's that deep. It was just a halftime show I didn't like. You know, there was no rhythm and there was no bop to it. I personally, I'm not politicizing it to make it that, you know, I mean, like you said, we're never going to understand, man. I know we're never going to understand. That's fine. I was watching the Super Bowl. I want to see a halftime show. Wasn't a good halftime show to me. End of story. You know, like it's just, I just don't think it's that deep.
Yeah, fair point.
We'll say this: it wasn't too long ago the guy was bagging groceries. So, sky's the limit, right?
Yeah. The great American dream, guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the irony of it all. That's the irony.
America.
So, all right, boys. Great show. Thank you. Sorry again for all the freaking audio troubles. Hopefully we'll get them ironed out in the editing process. But shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send in your mailbag requests for topics, questions, comments to any of these handles. Remember, we are all here if anyone wants to talk about recovery, our experiences, or if you are struggling with some form of addiction. Thank you again to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night, God bless, and trudge the road of happy destiny. See you next week.